Well, if you want to sing out, sing out. And if you want to be free, be free. 'Cause there's a million things to be, you know that there are.
Directed by Hal Ashby, Harold and Maude is a black comedy that follows 19-year-old Harold Chasen, a boy obsessed with death, as he falls in love with the 79-year-old woman Maude, who constantly attempts to live life to its fullest. The film explores one main conflict, that Harold has lost himself. He has lost himself to his fixation on death, and the only way he knows how to alleviate this existential pain is to constantly fake his own death and torment his mother, who he knows does not truly care for him. Harold is crashing one of the many funerals he attends throughout the course of the film when he meets Maude.
What is your name?
Harold Chasen.
Oh, how do you do? I'm Dame Marjorie Chardin, but you may call me Maude.
How do you do? Nice to meet you.
Well, thank you. I think we're going to be great friends, don't you? Can I give you a lift, Harold?
No, thank you. I have my own car.
Well, I must be off. We shall have to meet again. Tell me, do you dance?
Pardon me?
Do you sing and dance?
No.
No. I thought not.
That woman! She took my car!
She is everything Harold can't seem to be. She radiates life. As the two become better friends and get closer, Harold begins to once again see a point to living, as Maude shows him how to truly live. As Harold fends off the many women his mother attempts to set him up with,
It's at Hamilton and 4th, and I'm in charge of all the invoices. I type up the schedule for the trucking fleet.
She supplies the whole Southwest with chicken feed.
Well, not exactly the whole Southwest. Although we do a large business. Barley was very big last week. 1,500...
he begins to fall in love with Maude and decides that he will marry her. But he never gets the chance.
Farewell.
Yes, it's my 80th birthday.
Well, you're not going anywhere. Are you?
Yes, dear. I took the tablets an hour ago. I'll be gone by midnight.
As Harold attempts to cope with her death, it is obvious to the audience that because of Maude, he will forever be changed for the better. So after that synopsis, let's get it out of the way. This film is odd. Black comedy from the 1970s that follows a love affair of a young man and an old woman set to the timeless tunes of Cat Stevens. Not quite a recipe for a blockbuster. The story was originally conceived as a play by UCLA student Colin Higgins before transforming into a film screenplay used as Higgins' master thesis. Unsurprisingly, upon its initial release in 1971, the film was critically and commercially unsuccessful. It didn't even turn a profit until over 10 years after its debut. Critics found the film disturbing, and the general public saw it as offensive. Critic Vincent Canby wrote that the actors were so aggressive, so creepy and off-putting that Harold and Maude were obviously made for each other. A pretty harsh judgment, to say the least. Despite this initial reception and the rather offbeat concept, Ashby and Higgins' combined talents created a cult classic film. But how did this happen? How did a film that received so much backlash from critics and audiences alike somehow become a classic? There are a few reasons.
Do you... Harold, please!
During development of the film, writer Colin Higgins intended to direct. However, studio heads at Paramount were unsatisfied with test footage and brought Hal Ashby onto the project instead. Ashby's influence on the film was clear. His new Hollywood style was perfect for the film and came to influence many future directors. However, this movement wasn't very popular until years after the film was released. New Hollywood was known for a tendency to prompt spectator responses that were more uncertain and discomforting than those of more typical Hollywood cinema, and for placing an uncommon emphasis on irresolution when more conventional Hollywood movies tended to focus on tying up loose ends. These ideals are strongly reflected in the film and are part of what eventually drew critics and audiences in. In terms of cinematography, the film is sort of a mixed bag, ranging from long zooms, symmetrical frames, and an occasional breaking of the fourth wall. Each of these methods challenged the status quo of filmmaking at the time, resulting in strong audience reactions, whether it be positive or mainly negative. Despite the great variance in style, the film's cinematography and editing served the film in a deeper way. A long zoom in a graveyard emphasizes Maude's belief in the significance of individuals.
On a cosmic train, switch on summer.
Symmetrical framing in a therapist's office shows Harold's quiet defiance against how his life is being controlled. And a fourth wall break allows the audience the knowledge that Harold is fully aware of and takes pleasure in his wicked actions. In Harold and Maude, each shot means something. The script is heavy on dry wit, and many scenes utilize parallel editing for the benefit of the film's dark comedic timing. Beyond just visual or comedic style, Harold and Maude focuses on rather heavy themes, such as existentialism and mortality, that tend to attract a more underground following. So Harold and Maude didn't appeal to a broad audience. It didn't even really have a target audience to begin with. It was full of taboo and disconcerting elements, but it paved the way for dark comedies and films with strong aesthetics, not unlike the works of Wes Anderson and films like Heathers. Simply put, Harold and Maude was ahead of its time. It influenced many filmmakers in subtle ways and would go on to acquire some of the most prestigious honors in film. To love a movie like Harold and Maude, you have to find it. It doesn't just rise to the top like how many films gain popularity today. And maybe that's why I love it, because it's an underdog. It's something that you carry with you for the rest of your life, the way Harold will always carry Maude.